Okay, and we're live. Um, Today, welcome everyone into this studio with me this morning. It's morning here still. It's not on the East Coast. In New York, where my biggest following is in New York. It's lunchtime there and it's Friday. So happy Friday, guys. Get in here. I don't think I'm on Am I on Facebook? I have someone watching. Oh my gosh, that's so intimidating when you have just one. Cody, what's up? You're on YouTube. How you doing? How you doing? Hey, get in here. Welcome. I should do the whole show in that voice. Hi guys, get on in here. Yay. Oh my gosh, annoying, right? Okay. What is going on? Anybody want to fill me in on the week? Anybody have a rundown? Anybody want to let me know what's going on? Or is that what you're here for? Okay, let's see here. Hey, Jacqueline. I always eat, and I shouldn't do this, but I eat like before I do this because I get hungry. And then I find myself like when I'll watch like little clips of it, I'm like moving my mouth and it's like, Rachel, come on. Like, okay, anyways, I need to focus. Okay. All right. A beautiful day in Washington State. Awesome, Cody. Awesome. Totally cray. It's crazy cray. Hey, Flash, what's up? Oh, yes, I am in Colorado. We're going to discuss what's going on in Colorado in a few minutes. We're going to talk about that. It's funny. The mainstream media is like, nothing's happening. Aurora is fine. It's just a big right-wing conspiracy. Everyone in Aurora is doing great. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. Let's see here. Jody, what's up? Olin, it's a spiritual and mental workout. Isn't it? The minute I feel like I'm getting too inundated with like news and all that's going on, I'm like, all right, I got to break. I got to take a break. I'm going to go walk the dog. I'm going to go pray, put on some worship music. It's too much. It's too much. Aurora is insane right now. It is insane. Okay. Let's get into it. Let's start this thing. I first want to hit on. Well, I guess we could talk about the Aurora thing since people are mentioning it. Let's just go there first. Let me get to my notes, you guys. I've got that somewhere in here. Oh, yes, the Venezuelan Gangs. The Venezuelan Gangs. Okay, so I have a good friend, and we do like Bible studies together, but her husband does a radio show. And 710 KNUS, shout out to them. It's the Bill, and I think it's Bill and Jeff, or Jeff and Bill. I think it's Bill, but I know Jeff. Anyway, so Jeff goes to Aurora. Like he goes to the Whispering Pines apartments in Aurora to find out like what's going on. Like, let's just figure this out. There's so much like misinformation and disinformation. So he goes down there and I'm listening to him this morning talk and he's interviewing these people. And most definitely building has been taken over by gangs, insane violence, child trafficking, prostitution. They are demanding pay. This one woman said that she can't let her child go outside, like at all. So this child is living their life inside an apartment, because it's such a horrendous environment. And that it's so sad. So they're, the media got called out and I was entertained by this because like our governor here, Jared Polis, is like, it's just, it's being blown up. It's not a big deal. Everything's under control. Mike Johnson or whatever, the mayor of Denver is like, it's fine. Everything's fine. Even Mike Kaufman, who is a Republican over Aurora, he's kind of like going along with them. Like, it's fine. Everything's okay. But the people are like, it's not okay. And so the lefties staged this whole psyop the other day with neighbors from around. And these neighbors are saying, everything's fine. Like the gangs have not taken over. We're fine. It's okay. It's all just a big like craziness. And so the media takes that and they're like, see, everything's fine. Like there's no big deal. Gangs are not running anything down over here. It's okay. And then the story broke yesterday that there was a letter obtained by the Denver Gazette. You guys can find this article on the Denver Gazette from the law firm representing CBZ Management, whose apartment complex in Aurora was shut down over what the city described as safety issues last month. So until this evidence showed up, we were just being like completely gaslit that everything's fine. But this letter shows that they were fully aware of accusations that a Venezuelan gang had forcibly taken control of their property. So this all like came out, and everybody's like, well, this letter is completely like contradicting everything you're saying. And in August, the August 28th letter from the Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser, the law firm wrote that CBZ Management had been informed that Aurora multifamily projects had been forcefully taken control of by gangs that have immigrated here from Venezuela. The management company is based in Brooklyn. It operates rental apartments in New York, Colorado, with 11 properties in Denver, Aurora, Colorado Springs, and Pueblo. The gang takeover occurred on June 27th, according to the law firm. The TDA, which is the gang, is a Venezuelan prison gang. Now, remember, Maduro opened up his prisons, right? And a lot of those prisoners are like, let's head to the States because the border's open. And this is what's so messed up, because the left and the media is like, Trump said that, they're not sending their finest. And that is just a lie. Everyone trying to get to America right now is just chasing after the American dream. And they only have good intentions for America. So we should open our borders wide and let everyone in. And if you don't agree with us, you're xenophobic. Well, Trump was right. Venezuelan gangs infiltrating America, taking over apartment buildings, all here, like all verified in this letter to the Attorney General. And our governor knew about this. Allegedly knew about this. Like, this is all alleged. I have to be careful. It's alleged. The letter says that the gang gang takeover occurred on June 27th, according to the law firm. This is it's a prison gang. Like, great. And you know what? Fact check me on this. Crime in Venezuela has gone down. I wonder why. Because they're all coming here. And this is not far from me, you guys. Like, and I have family. I have friends, okay, that are all in on Kamala. And I would ask you, do you want this in your backyard? Do you want your grandkids? Do you want your children to see apartment buildings or homes taken over by Venezuelan gangs in your neighborhood? I mean, is that what you want? Because Kamala and Joe brought these people here. They welcomed them here. Voting for them is literally voting for this. Is that what you want? I mean, it's like common sense here. When we don't like Trump, okay, got it. But Trump will protect your grandkids and your kids' neighborhood from being overrun by gangbangers. Like, what matters most? You can't handle the mean tweets? Common sense, man. Okay, this gang portfolio includes human trafficking, particularly of immigrant women and children and girls. Great. Drug trafficking, kidnapping, extortion, and money laundering. Victims who have sought to escape the exploitation are often killed by the gang members. Wonderful. With their deaths publicized as a way to imitate others from coming forward. So you better shut your mouth. You don't tell anybody that we've taken over this area. If you do, we'll kill your kids or we'll just traffic them. I mean, it's just nuts, you guys. Since President Nicolas Maduro assumed office in 2013, Venezuela has descended into an economic and political chaos. Hey, they did price caps too, just like what Kamala wants to do, just so you know. I mean, they have similar policies, Maduro and Kamala. Into economic chaos and political chaos, with more than 7 million Venezuelans having fled the country, seeking refuge in countries around the globe, including the United States. And this letter basically Like this lawsuit confirms all of it. Not lawsuit, but this letter confirms all of this, that it did happen. And I'm hearing now that they took over earlier than June. They took over last November, is what some people are saying. I don't know. I mean, if you're just an idiot, I guess. I mean, and I love you. I still love you guys. But this is the problem, because people are letting their hate and disdain for Trump cloud their vision so much that they're like, yeah, I guess it's okay to have Venezuelan gangs as long as we don't have Trump. What did Trump do to you? Like, just shut it all out. Shut out the news, shut out the media, shut out all the noise. What did he personally do to you? What did he do to your kids? What did he do to your grandkids that makes you hate him so much? How did he make your life harder? And if you can't honestly answer that, then you need to look at policies and shut out the emotion, shut out the feelings, and look at policies. Do you want somebody in office that's going to allow Venezuelan gangs into your neighborhood? Is that what you want? It's just so simple. Do you want Venezuelan gangs in your neighborhood? Oh, that's just a bunch of fear mongering. No, it's been verified to be true. You can go to this Denver Gazette article. These are journalists, but they are legit. It's all been confirmed. I think CBS News has even picked it up, and I don't even like CBS News, but some of the mainstream media now is saying, okay, maybe this is actually happening. And it is actually happening. And you have to ask yourself, do you want more of this? Well, Kamala and Joe, they tried to pass a bipartisan border bill to stop all this. Okay, first of all, let's just back it up, okay? 3.5 years into their presidency, they decide that they want to do something to stop the border. What were they doing for the first 3.5 years? They were letting Venezuelan gangs come into our country for the first 3.5 years of their presidency. That's what Kamala and Biden were doing. Okay? So they're letting gangsters, criminals, drug traffickers, human traffickers, horrible, bad people, okay, into the country for 3.5 years. Then in an election year, they're like, oh, this optically doesn't look that good. So let's try to do something. And when you look at that border bill, it does absolutely nothing to secure the border. No, it doesn't. There's no border wall mentioned. There's no enforcement. There's no shutting down the border. There's no even demand of ports of entry. Okay. That border bill asks for more money to hire more border patrol officers to process the people coming in. That's what it is. They're hiring people to process more people coming in. There was no stopping the flow. There was no like, hey, let's put a hold on this. It was just more funding. And so the conservatives, the Republicans are like, well, wait a minute. This isn't doing anything to stop the illegal flow of immigration coming into our country. So like, we're not going to fund this. We're not going to back it. We want to secure the border. And you can't tell me that the president doesn't have the authority to do that, because executive orders can take place. You can say only enter through ports of entry. You could say that you have to stay in Mexico policy. Do you remember that? That people that were fleeing, they had to go to asylums, like they had to hit the Mexico asylum before entering the United States, where they could be properly vetted. Do you remember that? Well, the Biden and Harris administration immediately rescinded that once they took office. They're like, no, there's no stay in Mexico policy. Come on in. They stopped border wall funding. They stopped it. They allowed for catch and release to start to take place again. So Trump stopped catch and release. Trump was like, no, we're not going to catch these people and then just release them into the country and tell them to show back up for a court date, because they never do, right? They never do. They just become lost to the system. So we're stopping that. There's no catch and release. But Biden, Harris, they caught and released into our country. And now look what we have. We have Venezuelan gangs in our neighborhoods. So don't come at me and say, oh, they tried to do something. No, they had 3.5 years to do something. And when they finally did decide to do something, it did nothing to secure our border. Nothing. And if you want this for your children, if you want this for your grandchildren, then go ahead. Go ahead. Elect Harris to continue this process, because that's what she wants. So it's insane. And I think it hits me because it's like, that's not far from here. Right? And just recently in the county that I live in, they caught, oh gosh, where's this? They caught, let me tell you, I don't even have this saved, but I sent it to my husband. I was like, dude, like so close to us. Okay. They caught, so 17 stolen vehicles were found and 11 were arrested in my county. 17 stolen vehicles and 2 stolen guns, and 11 arrests were made. Many of them illegal immigrants from Venezuela. Like that. And I know people that had their cars stolen here in Colorado. It's so bad, you guys. If your car gets stolen, it's like not even they're like, okay, well, because it's become so common. Do you want this? Just ask, do you want this? Yeah, a Venezuelan Jorge Gutierrez Valdez, 28, Venezuelan national was arrested, a Colombian national in Denver, a Venezuelan national in Aurora, Venezuelan national living in Aurora, Alana Tamra Fernandez, 30 years old. She's actually from here. Yeah, but several of them illegal immigrants. Like, like I said this last time, I feel like this is a giant IQ test. Like, I feel it's testing, can you override your emotions and feelings to just look past and look at the policies? Be like, yeah, I think we would like some Venezuelan gangs in I would like some gang. Yeah, let's bring them in. Let's vote for Kamala. Let's do this. And now that they want to give citizenship to these people. I mean, why are they doing this? Why would they do this? Well, they're now trying to give citizenship to them. I mean, connect the dots. Like I said, it's an IQ test. Hopefully you pass. And other news, X has been banned in Brazil. One of the very few free speech platforms in the world is now being banned in countries. Brazil being one of them. And I want you to take a note of this because you cannot have democracy without free speech. Like, the two are absolutely opposed to one another. So you can't spout democracy. Like we hear the left say, I mean, all the time, you guys, it's democracy is at stake. We got to say the democracy. Trump is a threat to democracy. But they're the party that wants to censor speech. And if you're censoring speech, you cannot have democracy. Because speech allows people to voice opposition to what is being imposed or to what is being suggested or to authority. Sorry. And if you take free speech away, then the authoritarians have total control. Do you want dictators to take charge? I don't see Trump. Whoever went, oh, Trump's the dictator. He's I don't see him out there saying, yeah, censor the speech, ban them off of their platform, demonetize them, shut them down. Never. But this lady does. And here's a quick video. I can't show you the whole thing because I do want you to be able to watch this with your kids. And there's a few cuss words in it. So I'll try to stop it before he drops the F-bomb. But the top of this is important for you to see.
Y'all think this is okay?
We will double the Civil Rights Division and direct law enforcement to counter this extremism. We will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable as a community.
Like, I can't be the only one who thinks this is not okay. Like, it's the First Amendment. And no politician, I don't care who you're voting for, whether it's Kamala, Trump, or that one weird guy who was blabbling about on stage. We don't even know where he is now. We don't even know if he's still the president. I don't care who you support. But no one should be okay with the politicians saying they're going to restrict your First Amendment right on social media.
Okay, so I mean, no one. If you're an American citizen, you should be outraged by Kamala Harris saying that if she doesn't like what she hears you saying, if she deems it as hate speech. Like, listen, as a Christian, you guys, I could say I believe in biblical principles. I align with the scriptures. They could say that because I believe in the Bible and what the Bible is that the Bible is true, and that what God says a family should look like or what a marriage should look like. And if I say that, and she could deem that as hate speech. Like, if you're a Christian, you have to vote against these people. Like, she wants to ban you if she doesn't like what you're saying. Hate speech, she said. Anything could be hate speech. I could say I like dogs more than cats. Well, that's offensive to cats, and cats think that you hate them, so we're going to ban. I mean, they could take it any direction they want to. There's no limit. That's the problem. You start censoring any kind of speech, and there's no limit to it. There's no lines. No, people can say whatever they want to say. Anything. You can say hate speech. You can say vile things. You can say sick things. You can say wonderful things. Whatever you want to say, you should be allowed to say it. That is the freedom of speech. And if people don't like it, then they have the opportunity to shut it out and tune it out and not listen to you. Or they have the opportunity to go toe-to-toe and debate you and argue with you and tell you why you're wrong. That is how we are designed as a nation. That's democracy. That's freedom. That's individual liberty. And what she just said in that clip is the antithesis. It's the opposite of free speech. It's the opposite of who we are as a nation. And I covered this last week on my stream last week. Zuckerberg admitted that the Biden-Harris administration asked them to take down posts that they didn't like, or they thought was misinformation or disinformation. And they asked for satire, which hits me hard because, man, satire is the most beautiful. I love satire so much because you can go after the top of the top. And I totally cannot stand Saul Alinsky, total communist, but he was right when he said ridicule is man's most potent weapon. Because when you can go after the elitists that think they can't be touched and you can ridicule them and mock them and tell them while they're wrong through satire, it is so incredibly powerful because it opens people's eyes that can't see it. And they specifically said satire, take it down. How can you vote for that? How can you say, yeah, that's what we want? We want you to be shut down. Because at some point, they'll come for you. They will come for you. They always do. When you look at Mao, when he took over China, he had the Red Army, right? And they were working with him. They were working with him. They were all together and they were like, yay, let's take out all these anti-communists. We're going to take them out. And eventually he turned on them. There's no limit to people that crave authoritarianism, that crave power, that want to shut down speech. They're eventually like, I don't like what you're saying. I don't like I know you've been with me this whole time, but now you, so they can obtain all power. And when you heard her, she was talking like a tyrant, man. she was talking like, didn't sound very freedom loving. Didn't sound very supportive of the individual's rights to speak freely, because that is our right. And if you take that away, you lose democracy. You take that away, you lose the ability to live freely. I mean, it's over. That's where she stands on it. I mean, again, it's an IQ test. I think I'm going to say that every time we go. It's an IQ test. It is. Yes, I want to be told what I can and cannot say. I would like that. Please tell me what I can. I mean, what? Who wants that? These young Gen Zers. You want someone telling you what you can and cannot say? Do you want that? Well, it's misinformation. You see, it's disinformation, and it's causing a lot of, then it will be fact checked by other individuals. That's what's so great about community notes on X. Someone will say something completely, absolutely asinine, and you're like, what? That's such you moron. Like, that is so factually not true. And people will come in and they will fact check them. Us, we the people. We will take control of it. That's what it's about. It's about us. We say what goes and what doesn't go. And if you're like, no, that's totally inaccurate, that's not true, you can fact check them. And then the reader can be like, oh, well, this was totally fact checked by so and so and so and so and verified by all these other sources. So what they're saying most likely isn't true. But I would never suggest that this person be banned off the internet. Let them look like an idiot for spouting misinformation. The solution to free speech or to misinformation is more speech. The solution to disinformation is more speech. It's not shutting down speech. And who is given the authority? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's pick this guy. Hey, Bob, is that your name, Bob? Let's just pick Bob, and Bob will just tell us like what we can and cannot say. And Bob will say whether he likes it. If he likes it, then we can say it. If Bob says no, then we can't. We'll just, hey, Bob, is that cool? You want that? Do you want that power? Who's voting for this? You want Kamala? Cackling Kamala to be able to tell you what you can and cannot say? Anyways, I mean, wowzers. Do want to cover this horrible tragedy in Georgia, Appalachia High School. I used to make posts about every shooting and all that, it's just, I'm not going to do that, but I do want to say, it's been found out. So we lost 2 students and 2 teachers, and 9 were injured, in a school in Georgia on Wednesday. The suspect is a 14-year-old. His father now is being charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. He's also being charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter and 8 counts of cruelty to children, all directly connected with the actions of his son, allowing him to possess a weapon. The father gifted his son an AR-style rifle. Okay. In August 28th, a letter to the Colorado. Oh, no, that's not it. So he gives his son a rifle the day after the shooting at Appalachia High School in Georgia that left 4 dead and 9 injured. The suspect and his father began to emerge. More information on the father began to emerge. 2 law enforcement familiar with the investigation said that Colin Gray, 54, bought his son this AR rifle as a gift. And this was after, which is just insane to me, after he was interviewed by the FBI in connection with the teens' threats to carry out a school shooting last year. Okay, so just the FBI shows up at their house, talks to the dad. It's like, hey, your son is making threats that he wants to shoot up the school. And the dad's like, okay, and the son denies it. He denied it. He said that he had nothing to do with it. Somebody hacked his account. That's not true. And what does the dad do? The dad gets him an AR. What was it? An AR-15. Like, okay, what? Yeah, that's insane, right? I'm sorry. Your child is mentally ill, so you get them a gun. That's just stupid itself. But the bigger question to me here is the FBI. Okay, why do we have an FBI? Why? What are you doing? Do you know how many times we've had these shootings and it's like, yeah, the FBI they were aware of it. They were aware. Yes, the FBI, they knew. And it's just so unfortunate. Like, what are you doing? What are you're arresting grandmothers that trespassed into the Capitol? But you're not going to do anything about these red flags going off until something actually happens? What has happened to our FBI? They're like, oh, red alert, conservative mom, we need to knock at her door. I mean, stop. Just do your job. Do your job. And I hate how it gets politicized. I do. Right? The immediate reaction from the left is to just, we need to take all the guns. That's how we stop these things. We take all the guns. That is definitely what the answer should be. We take all the guns. We ban them. We ban the guns. We should ban all the guns, just like you ban drugs, right? Just like we ban illegal drugs. We should ban all cocaine. We should ban all methamphetamines. We should ban it. Ban the fentanyl, right? How does that work? Like, just, again, IQ test. How does that work? How does banning the guns prevent bad people from getting guns? Prevent law-breaking citizens from getting guns? Because you know what? They will always be able to get guns. Just like if I wanted to go get high on cocaine, I could go find it. Bad people will always be able to find the things that they want to do to whatever they need to hurt people. Always. Again, common sense. So the solution is not to allow our children to be sitting ducks. To allow the bad guys, whether you ban guns or not, to allow the bad guys, because they will get weapons, they will find them. Just like I could go find drugs if I wanted to. They'll find them and they will do harm if they want to. The solution is to protect the children, to not allow our kids to be sitting ducks. With the billions of dollars we've spent on illegal immigration here, and the cost, we could have armed all of our schools with resource officers. Multiple resource officers. And we could arm our teachers that are trained. Go through a series of training, lots of practice, you have to go through several steps, firearms courses, whatever, scenarios of a real active shooting training, what to do. And our teachers could be armed. If we want to protect the kids. It's not to take all the guns away. Doing that leaves the children completely vulnerable. And I guarantee you, if you're a kid with a little, nutty in the head, right? And you know that there's teachers that are armed in your school, I highly doubt it that you're like, I'm going to open fire in here. And maybe Mr. Johnson, hopefully he's not one of the ones that are carrying. You're going to think twice. You're going to think twice. That's my solution. But what do I know, right? I mean, what do I know? Let's see here. Obama comes out and he said, it doesn't have to be this way. And then he shows the video of Kamala talking about, regulating the guns. That's the answer. You know why they have to regulate the guns? You know why they want the guns? Because the common sense solution is not to take the guns. That's not the common sense solution, because bad guys will always find guns, right? They want the guns because you can't completely take over authoritarianism. Like, you can't completely go crazy with your power if you have an armed populace. Like, you can't. You can't. And you look at every dictator that has ever taken power. Do you know what they do? They take the guns first. No, they don't. Yes, they do. They take the guns. Every single one of them. Every single one. They disarm the people. Oh my gosh. Okay. Jesse Kelly said something good. He said the worst thing Barack Obama did to this country was normalizing the politicization of mass shootings. Now every Democrat and media commie runs to grab guns before the bodies are even cold. It robs the country of the ability to come together and mourn together, which is absolutely despicable. It is. They turn it into some, let's take the guns. That's immediately the response. Well, there are people grieving out there that lost their kids. Could you just pause for a moment? Could you just pause for a moment and think about the parents that lost their child? The teachers that are no longer there. Just give it a moment before you jump on there and start talking about taking people's guns. It's heartless. It's evil. It's cruel. The immediate solution is to violate the Second Amendment. Like, that's their solution. In other words, in other news, I think I'm just like, today. I don't know why, but I'm like, ugh. And this next one is even more. Like, I'm like, because this gets me, what I'm about to talk about here. This gets me. Okay. So NBA star, Golden Warrior State Warrior, whatever, Steph Curry announces on CNBC that he is supporting Kamala Harris because he wants to protect abortion. Well, that's not, he's a lefty. He thinks it's fine to annihilate, life in the womb. Like, it's okay. Like, I get it. This guy says he's a Christian. That's what gets me. Well, Rachel, you're not supposed to judge. You should that's not true. Okay. The Bible specifically talks about Christians judging other Christians and how Christians should judge other Christians. So if you're a Christian and you're saying that abortion is good, and I'm voting for Kamala because she supports the woman's right to take out the life growing inside of her womb, then I'm going to call you out on it. I'm going to call you out on it, because you cannot be a worshiper of the creator of life and support those that take life. You can't. You can't. That's the truth. God is the creator of life. He knew us before he formed us. He breathed life into us. And if you're supporting someone that thinks it's okay to annihilate life, innocent life, then you cannot be a follower of Christ. I don't know if I can make it any more clear, but that is the truth. And yes, it's offensive. And yes, it will hurt your feelings, but that's what the truth does. It also will save your soul. Because as he's, loving life and getting all the glory on the court, this all ends. I hope people get that. Like, this is not forever. Life comes to an end. It's just a vapor. But your eternity is forever. It's forever. And what you do here on this earth you'll be held accountable for it. And if you support the tearing of an innocent baby limb by limb in the womb, you cannot profess to be a follower of Jesus. You just can't. That's a human life. And you're going to, I mean, this all ends. Like I said, you're going to have to stand before God. And he's going to say, he'll probably show you an abortion taking place. And the process and the pain that the baby does feel. At 22 weeks, people. I got abortions happening in Boulder, Colorado here at 40 weeks. And if you're voting for Kamala, you're voting for that. Well, I'm not personally voting for it. I mean, it's up to the individual whether they want to or not. I mean, I'm not having an abortion, but I don't think it's my right to come in and tell someone else that they shouldn't. We are to speak up for the least of these as Christians. We are to give voice to those that cannot talk. And that is a life inside the womb. I would show you the clip of him, but I keep getting censored on YouTube. They're like, oh, you should have clip of our news. He was on, where was he? CNBC. You can pull it up, Google it. Steph Curry saying that he's supporting Kamala because of abortion, because he wants abortion. Wolves in sheep's clothing, right? People that profess to worship God and do something completely different with your actions. And your voice is your vote. Okay? Like that is your voice. Unreal. Okay. Steven Crowder, he dropped a huge bombshell undercover video of the DOJ's Chief of Public Affairs, Nicholas Biazzi. He's the Southern District of New York for the DOJ. He admits that the indictments of Trump are political. So he is the Chief of Public Affairs for the Southern District of New York. And he is on video saying that this is all political. All of these indictments. He talks about Bragg going after him, and it's all political. This is a guy that's like in it. He's in it. He sees these people day to day. Southern District of New York, like he's interacting with them, and he says it's all political. Some of the stuff he says, you can check the video out on Steven Crowder's website or X. And thank you, Jody, for the shout out. That's super chat. You're awesome. God bless you. So here's some of the quotes of this Nicholas Biazzi guy. Okay, so he says that it's a perversion of justice. He reveals lawfare, including in making former president a convicted felon. He's like, they wanted to get the name. They had to get the slogan. He goes, they wanted to get convicted felon under his name. So every time they're talking about him, they can say convicted felon. I ask you to probably count how many times Kamala will say convicted felon, or I locked up convicted felons like you. Like, this is all political, right? He said that they're obsessed with getting him. He claims his former colleague Alvin Bragg's case is nonsense and alleges that he was stacking the charges. Alvin Bragg, was just stacking charges and rearranging things just to make it fit a case, end quote. Another quote, I think the case is nonsense. Another quote, it's a perversion of justice. Another quote, it's a travesty of justice. Another quote, it's a mockery of justice. And again, he says the whole thing is disgusting. That's why Trump, is surging in the polls. They just wanted to make him a convicted felon. Wow. I mean, which is so messed up, right? I mean, this is lawfare at its finest. And they're going to try, I don't know what's going to happen next week. I think Trump gets his sentencing. They lock him up. I mean, I think that will just help Trump, to be honest with you. I think it'll help Trump. I think that if, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see how this debate goes. And I think that a lot of this is hinging on the debate, because if they feel like Kamala does well, then there's no need to like go to the extreme. right? If she doesn't do well, then there's no limit to what these people will do. There's no limit to it. But yeah, big deal. I would encourage you to watch it. I think he's dropping more of the video, and I think the whole video is up on his website. But it is the chief of public affairs for the DOJ of the Southern District of New York. Wow, you guys, admits that it's all the indictments are politically motivated. Like that's a big deal. You get somebody on the inside that's like, yeah, it's all just a big. And even if you're on the left, like you've got to think to yourself, is this the only way my side will win? Like, is this the only way that we win is by like locking up Trump and like making all these fake indictments and stacking the charges? Is this the only way that my side would be able to win? Like, shouldn't that give you pause in itself? Like, wait a minute, like the only way that we could win is by like making this guy a convicted felon and trying to lock him up. If that's the only way that your side can win, maybe your side's policies are bad. I mean, have you ever thought about that? Like maybe, just maybe, the censoring of free speech, the banning the guns, the mutilation of children, the annihilation of life in the womb. Maybe most Americans are like, man, I don't really want that. So the only way the left can win is by locking up their opponent. Like, just think on that for a second. Don't you want a fair fight? And like, may the best man win? But instead, you've got your side trying to lock up their opposition. You know? Oh, Flash said that this video is being blocked. Unbelievable. Hey, if anybody has a contact for Congressman Jordan, please email me. I need it. I need it. I have so much information to give him about how I've specifically been suppressed and censored on Facebook. And I would like to somehow get him this information. So it doesn't surprise me that they're suppressing me here. Yes, third world countries do that, Chris. It's crazy. What else do we have here? What are we doing? Oh, this is not. Okay. I think I've got it. I think that is a wrap. Oh, okay. Okay. I got a couple things. I got to do a shout out to Redemption Shield. I want to play this for you really, really fast. And then I have a satiric video I want to show you that you most likely have not seen because I posted it on Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, you probably did not see it. And then I want to talk about the right and this whole Russian allegation with a conservative commentator that's being accused of some stuff that I think we got to hit on. We got to talk about it. So check this out and I'll be right back.
World where technology surrounds us, our exposure to EMR, or electromagnetic radiation, is higher than ever before, with over 400,000 cell towers and antennas in the United States alone, not to mention Wi-Fi that runs 24/7 in our home, cell phones that are carried in our pockets hours on end, and hundreds of 5G satellites in our orbit. Common complaints are ringing in the ear, sleep deprivation, heart palpitations, insomnia, and so much more. Start protecting your family today. Fellow patriots, introducing Redemption Shield, your EMF protection products. With over 700 5-star reviews, Redemption Shield is leading the way in shielding and grounding products, taking inflammation out of your body with grounding bed mats, grounding bed sheets, hats, scarves, Wi-Fi router covers, cell phone bags. Come and see us today at redemptionshield.com and get grounded and shielded. Redemptionshield.com. Use code MOM and save 10%.
All right, you guys. So use code MOM, you get 10% off. I've been using their grounding sheets. I also have this. My daughter's trying to take it from me now because she wants it, but it's like a little kind of fanny pack that's fun to wear. You can put your cell phone in here, protects you from any raise or anything being admitted from your cell phone. Again, that's redemptionshield.com. Check them out. Okay, so next thing I want to talk really quick is well, there's two things. Like I said, okay. So this just broke yesterday. That there have been some conservative commentators that were unknowingly being funded by allegedly a company founded by called Tenet, and it's a husband and wife. Lauren Chen is one of the conservative commentators. You guys might have followed her. She's a little bit younger than me, very savvy on the kind of like Gen Z millennial crowd, and popular. Popular. She's on the inside with the conservative crew. Like there's a speaking crew and they all hang together. They all do the big speaking events and gathering. I've never been accepted into that crew ever. Like I've always been the Lone Ranger. And maybe that's just how God has designed it so I keep my head right, because I'm very like, what's happening right around me kind of a thing, and how are politics directly impacting me as a mom and my everyday life. And so I'm not part of that whole scene. But she was, and I guess her husband and her were approached by allegedly approached by the Kremlin or whatever to get other conservative commentators to comment on this stuff. I have a few things. Chen founded, this is from Forbes, founded Tenet Media with Liam Donovan, who identifies himself as her husband. In January of 2022, the tennis business records identify Chen under the name Lauren Tam. Tenet Media, though not directly named by the DOJ, was accused earlier this week of being funded by the Kremlin in a larger effort to get right-winger influencers to push Russian propaganda. Now, here's the deal. And some of these people involved in it, they're saying like they were taking money from Tenet, but they didn't even know about it, kind of a thing. First of all, I wouldn't be taking money from anybody that I don't know. And what was really interesting to me is Lauren Chen, when you start to kind of look at some of the stuff she was putting out, it was very divisive amongst conservatives, questioning whether women should have the right to vote, which is just absolutely insane to me. We should have the right to vote. like kind of belittling women, and then also like questioning Trump on a lot of things. So she was trying to get like people to really question Trump as a conservative. And so obviously to me, and not hold out possibly on whether they support him or not. So like this says a lot. The Kremlins were hoping to get division in the conservative camp to not support Trump. Allegedly. Okay, this is all alleged. Nothing's been confirmed. But first off, don't take money from people that you don't know to then say stuff that you wouldn't normally say. That's why I love being like independent. Like I don't, my Patreon supporters are my support. And I've never, ever once in my entire life since doing this have ever been told what to say. Ever. I say what I want to say. I do what I want to do. And sometimes I'll be wrong. Like you guys have probably seen me apologize. I shouldn't have said that. Or that didn't come from the right place. Or that wasn't done in love. But no one has ever told me what to say. I say what I say. And I got involved in this because I became a mom. And I was very concerned about what I was seeing and the future of for my kids. Like I was like, wait a minute, this is not good. Some of this stuff. I started to see hey, how does your child identify stuff in kindergarten? And my son is 12 years old. So that was years ago. And before that, I started to see stuff. And I was like, I got to get involved here. I got to say something. And from that, it totally evolved. Like it evolved into just writing. I used to just write, and then to making videos and satire, and now commentary. but never once has anyone told me what to say. And I think that's important to tell you guys that, because I am skeptical right now of a lot of people on the right and what they're saying. And especially what they're saying right now. A lot of I am seeing a rise in anti-Semitism on the right and the left, and that concerns me. But that also is very biblical. I'm a Bible believing Christian. I've read my Bible. I know my Bible, and I know that, and I do believe in biblical prophecy. There's a lot of things that the Bible says will happen that have not yet happened. And so I am aware of that. I'm aware of what has been spoken that has not yet come to pass. I'm like, well, this is going to happen at some point. And it does talk about a rise of hatred for specifically Israel and the Jewish people. Like, it talks about that all throughout scripture. And I'm seeing a lot of people fall for that, and that concerns me. And I think that needs to be called out. I'm seeing a lot of revisionist history start to take place. People talking about World War II and we're actually the bad guys, and Winston Churchill's the bad guy, and I completely disagree with that. And I want to say this: it's okay to go back on and look at history and be like, well, maybe we weren't told the truth on this, or maybe that was misunderstood. Or maybe, parts of the Israeli government are wrong. I get that. Yes, that's great. Let's discuss it. But my questioning right now of bringing this up with 60 days to the most important election of our lifetime gives, like, why are you doing this? Why? Like, can you not wait? Can you not wait a few months? Because that is giving all sorts of like bad thought to those independent voters. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, wait a minute, like, are you really like a sympathizer of really bad people? Like, are you like, no, we're not. We're just questioning some of the history that's taking place or whatever. Okay, you're questioning things, but now's not the time to do that. I'm just going to be honest. Okay. Now is not the time to do that. Now's not the time. Do that after the election. Do that a couple months, into the new year. Now is not the time. It's not the time. Our focus should be completely and totally on the communist Marxist policies that Kamala is trying to push. That's it. That's it. And if you care about this country, that should be your focus. Then you can, have the rundown and the debating of all the other stuff that you want to talk about. But now is not the time. And I question anyone that is doing that right now when so much is on the line. So much is on the line. And if you don't know that so much is on the line, then you're ignorant. When you think you're so full of knowledge. There's so much on the line right now, and our focus needs to be on stopping all of this garbage that is trying to overtake our country. That's our focus. That needs to be our focus. And I would encourage every single one of you to not get wrapped up in this stuff. Don't be distracted. Don't be distracted. Stay focused. And also question this. If you're listening to somebody, the biggest thing you need to have is discernment. The biggest thing you need to have is discernment. And a way to discern is to question whether this is of the Spirit, the fruits of the Spirit. Does this have love? Does this have joy, kindness, meekness, temperance, long-suffering? Where is this coming from? And if you aren't discerning that, then you're not hearing from God. You're not. Because there should be no hate coming from any conservative commentator that professes to love Jesus. None. There should be no hate. No, well, you're confusing hate and love, love. Yes, love is honest, okay? Love tells the truth, but it does not come from a place of hate. And it's very important. And how do you know that? It's, well, what are the fruits of the Spirit from this? Like, you know, and that's important. That's important. So I'm a skeptic right now of a lot of these people. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm like, why are you talking about this right now? Like, why now? Are you trying to make conservatives look bad? Are you trying to make us look like we're a bunch of fascists? And does that help or hurt Trump? Right? Like, shouldn't you ask that? And right now, like, I get it. You got issues with the way the whole, Israeli, Palestine, all of that. Like, I get it. And there's a lot of things that I disagree with that have been done. Yes. And there's a lot of stuff that I do look back and think, well, is that the truth? Were we told the truth here? Get it. But now's not the time. It's not the time. It's not. Okay? Focus on the communists. Focus on the Marxists. Expose them. Call them out. Expose their policies, what they want to do to this country. And then we can go back and have a debate. So I don't know. I got this pit in my stomach. And I'm like, I don't know if you're on our team. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but I don't know if you are. And I'm starting to ask that about a lot of people. So stay vigilant, right? Stay sharp, and stay in your Bible. Know your Bible. And if you want to debate me on the land and all that, it's all there. If we want to talk about Israel, want to talk about the land, want to talk about replacement theology, I've done it all. I've talked about it all. I have covered all of this extensively. And I'll say this, if you're going to talk about the Jews, because I got people on here that are all in on, they're commenting immediately. And it's amazing to me that this sets people off, right? There's a spiritual aspect to all of it. There's a spiritual aspect to all of it. And it will increase. It will increase. And a lot of these people, they don't even know that they're being used. They don't even know it. They think that they're exposing things. They think that they're like, oh, look, this conspiracy is true. This is conspiracy is true. And I think a lot of the conspiracies, some of them might be true. They might be true. And I think that will cause the world to rise up, like Zechariah 14 says, and go after Israel. But you know what? God comes to her defense, because he says that my covenants are everlasting. My covenants are everlasting. And if you can't take God at his word, then this all crumbles. So either covenants are everlasting means that they're everlasting, or he's a liar. And you have to decide that. So, but you're being used, just so you know. Like, if you're whipped up in that right now, you are being used and you're caught up in it. And I pray that a lot of these Christians that are being whipped up in this, that they really spend some one-on-one time in prayer with God and ask God's heart in all of this. And read your Bible. Specifically, if you're arguing with me on here, because I see some of the comments, go to Zechariah 14. That is unfulfilled prophecy that will come to pass. Read Revelation. Read the Bible. Read Genesis. And then you ask me if God's promises are everlasting or not. So don't be used. Don't be deceived, and be very careful who you're listening to. That's what I got to say. Okay. Lastly, oh my gosh, again, I went over an hour and I don't want to do that. Like, my goal is to keep it under an hour and I just keep talking. Let's see here. God works it all for the good. Amen, Chris. God does work it all for the good. And it does end well. Just so you guys know, it ends well. It ends well. God is good. He's faithful. He's true. And his word is forever. Right? His promises are everlasting, as Psalms 105 says. All right. Just to refresh this area. Did I mention this? Why do I have the save act on here? What are you talking about, Flash? I mentioned the save. What? I have that in my notes. Was I going to cover that? I don't even know why I saw the save act in here. What it was even. Let's see here. I don't even know. That's just like a wild random thought I just had. Okay. So the last thing I want to cover is it's more on the lighter side, but it's freedom, right? We keep hearing it. We keep hearing Kamala, and she loves freedom. She loves it so much, you guys. She loves freedom, and she just loves it. And I was going to try to share my latest satire with you if I can pull it up. But here it is. It's they support freedom, but not really. So here's this.
Team Kamala here, and we are all about freedom. Freedom! Love it. We love freedom. We love it so much. You might have even noticed that our theme song is freedom. Freedom! We just love it. We love freedom. Except for just one small little part. I mean, it's so tiny. It's the free speech part. We believe that if you're spreading misinformation or malinformation or disinformation or hate speech or anything that we dislike, we believe that you should be banned off the internet for all of eternity. But besides that, freedom. Like freedom! We believe in the freedom to bodily autonomy. Unless we think you should be injected with a chemical that you don't want inside your body, and if you don't take it, we believe that you should lose your job. But besides that, freedom! Yeah, freedom. We love it. We love it so much. Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. The freedom to bear arms. We believe that we should be able to pick which arms you're free to bear. So. And we also support the freedom of the press. We do. We love you guys so much. Unless you're saying stuff that we don't like, then we should shut you down. You should be shut down too. So, freedom! freedom! And the freedom to private property, okay? Unless, of course, you take more than you need. As the great Michelle Obama just recently said, I love her so much. But as she just recently said, that her parents were suspicious of anyone that took more than they needed. We too are suspicious of anyone that takes more. I mean, we can take more, but you can't. You know what I'm saying. But freedom! And the freedom to worship. Unless we're having a pandemic. We're all about freedom here. Oh, except just really quick, not so much on the freedom of school choice. Just because the teachers unions, they give us a lot of cha-ching. So, and they don't like the choice. They don't like the choice on that. So no on school choice. But besides that, freedom! And no on parents' rights. The freedom of parents' rights. We're also objected to that. But everything else, freedom! Oh! Say it with me!
Yes. So freedom, but not really. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what bothers me, because I'm like, you're not about freedom like at all. Like there's nothing in the entire campaign of Kamala that supports freedom. We saw her earlier at the very beginning of this telling us that she wants to ban people off the internet if she doesn't like what you're saying. So there is no freedom if you're voting for Kamala. None. Unless you want to, take the life of a baby inside the womb. That's the only freedom that they give you. Like, that's it. To end life. That's the only freedom these people are about. So hopefully people are aware of that. I try to do funny sometimes to get the message home. And hopefully people see it. So anyways, yes, I am reading the comments. I do read the comments. Not all of them. Sometimes. I got some mean ones though this last week. I was like, I don't even know what I put out, but it really bothered some people. I mean, I get a lot of love and I get a lot of hate. But that's part of the job, right? I mean, you get people that love it, and then you got people that just cannot stand you. And I tell this story often. It was when I first started doing satire and parody, and it was back in, I think it was like 2017, and I got a comment. It was so bad. It was so bad that I like, it was, I would, death threat kind of a thing. And I called the police. They came over to the house, and I showed them what this person wrote and all this stuff. And they were like, okay. And after they left, I remember standing in the kitchen with my husband, and I was like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? And he goes, well, you can go back underground if if that's what you want to do. Like, you could stop all of this. You could stop doing the satire, because that hits people. People get really bothered when you are able to give them a mirror and be like, this is you. Do you know this is you? They can't stand it. And he's like, you can just stop it all. And I was like, I can't. Like, I can't stop it. There was no peace in that. I was like, I can't. Like, this is something I'm supposed to do. And he's like, well, then if you stick your head up, people are going to come for it. So, this is it. Like, and I said, I know. So I made that decision, and I'm still here. I'm still here, but I do get a lot of hate. I get a lot of hate. I get a lot of people that can't stand what I'm doing or saying, and that's fine. And I do get people on here, though. I do have like faithful trolls. And some people are like, well, why don't you ban the trolls? I let them talk. I let them talk, unless you're saying like vile, like hatred, or death threats. I will ban you. But I do have people on here that disagree with me, and I actually appreciate the disagreement. I don't think we all have to think the same, and I don't mind them arguing with me, and I don't mind going back and forth and arguing with them. I think that that's important. I think dialogue is important, and I think it's and I think it's pretty cool of them actually to be willing to be here to hear a voice of opposition to what they believe. That's cool to me. Like, okay, you don't like what I'm saying, you disagree with me, and yet you're here. The willingness to hear someone talking that you disagree with is admirable. Like, it's admirable. It doesn't mean that you agree with them or that you suddenly are going to become like them or anything like that, but it's admirable to be willing to hear the other side. So I appreciate that. All right, you guys, wishing you a wonderful weekend. God bless you all. I do want to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are like, they're like my family, like a family to me. I do a once a week talk with them, and they sometimes will ask me questions, and then I'll answer in a special Minute with Mama that I do with them. And they just are supporting me because they believe in what I'm doing. So a shout out to them. I dropped the link just now. If you guys would like to join me in this fight and support me on Patreon, you could do it for $1, $2, $3, whatever you can afford a month. But that keeps me going. So, all right, you guys, God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.